What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. You know, a lot of people ask me, Henry, what do you do for your job? The answer is pretty simple right now. I'm a community organizer in the Chinatown neighborhood. So the purpose of today's video is I want to give you 5 tips on how you can be a really great community organizer in your neighborhood. Tip number 1, know your audience. So by knowing your audience, what this means is, who are you serving really? Who are the people who will be most benefited by your service provided? So for me, I work in the Chinatown neighborhood, and this encapsulates a wide spread of people. Lots of diversity in age, ethnicity, culture, you name it, everything. But for me, my audience group specifically is I work with the senior residents in the neighborhood. Why? That's because so many of them don't work anymore. They're retired. They live in the neighborhood, which is essential, and they have a lot of time. So because of those factors, there are almost 500 to 1,000 seniors in the neighborhood, which gives me a good base to start from. So going back to why it's important to know your audience, is because think of it like this. If you're a chef and you want to cook a meal for a party, and you make the best pho ever, like broth is so good, so sweet, so savory. Turns out your audience are vegetarians. Like, what are you gonna do? You have the best product ever, but yet it doesn't serve your audience with the right category. So make sure you know who you're serving. And what this looks like is, just take a look in our neighborhood. Do they take the bus? What do they eat? Is it soft food because maybe their teeth are not as strong as they used to be? Do they wear the same clothes every day? Do they speak English? Where do they hang out all the time? Do they go out even much? Things like that. Those are very simple cues you can pick up to really get an idea of who you're serving. Another thing you can do is just take surveys with them, spend time, get to know them as if you are their friend. And that brings me to the overall point is gain trust with your audience. After building a concrete idea of who your audience group is, this brings me to point number 2. What do you want to provide them? Well, as a participant, what do I want to gain? So what this really means is, as an organizer, put yourself in your audience's shoe. See what they see, feel what they feel, and do what they would want to do. Keep it really simple and have complete transparency with them. That's really key, transparency, and have a goal in mind, right? So for me, what I like to do is, like I mentioned, I host a lot of activities like mahjong, tai chi, park, we go to the beaches. And the one thing in common through all my activities is, let's have fun. That's it. Let's have fun, right? So when I have all these grandmas coming out with me, my goal at the end of the day is I want to see those big, wide smiles, those big McDonald's arches on their faces. And when I see that, for me, that is a signal that I am doing a good job. And now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Henry, you can't just be doing fun stuff all the time. You have to get something out of it. That's the point. Regardless of what I have installed for them in terms of services, they'll trust me. They'll want to spend time with me. So if I, as a community organizer, am responsible for certain projects, right? I have to teach them financial education. Well, guess what? It's not as hard for me to have an audience group as someone would if they just started, right? If I wanted to teach them some budgeting stuff, they'll come to me because, well, Henry's the fun guy, and no matter what his teaching style is, they'll know they'll have a good time with me, right? And if I can speak their language, if I can host this class somewhere very convenient for them, those are major pluses, right? Point number 2, know what you want to provide. This brings me to point number 3, set goals. Even after you build a solid foundation of who you're serving, what you want to provide, it's very important to have a timeline of how you want to plan things out, right? So if I just started an activity for, let's say, fitness, right? My goal, and it's important for me to have a growing audience group. I can't be serving the same 10 people week after week after week after week, right? So for me, rather than stressing on having the same amount of people coming out each time, I would give myself a small goal, a daily goal of just increasing that audience group by 1%. If I have that mentality of, being able to grow at a rate that's comfortable and realistic for me, by the end of the year, my audience rate would be 10% growth. You know what that means? Basic math, 365 days a year, and if I grow 1% each day, that's almost 10% a whole year. So 10% growth in a class for participants is a great number. And if you ask anybody, thumbs up. It's also important to have long-term goals, right? So like I said, the one common theme I have throughout all my activity is I want to make things fun. Well, that's my long-term goal. I want to make things fun no matter what. Because projects, they come and go. People, they stay for the long run. And that's what you want to keep in mind. Short-term goals are projects that can be accomplished and renewed. You'll have a new project as time goes. But as a long-term goal, keep those people in mind. You want to keep them around you and you want them to stay around you. All right. Now, tip number 4, very crucial when it comes to growth, and that is you gotta let people know what you do. The worst case scenario as a community organizer or even in general is if nobody knows what you do. That's almost the worst thing that can happen. So how you can avoid this situation is make social media posts, tell other organizers what you're doing so you can find opportunities for collaboration. Have your audience group spread how much they enjoy being around you through word of mouth, right? You have to find a way to showcase the work that you do so that people recognize you for the work you do and they'll continue to come for you. For me, one example that I've done to really showcase my work is I take a lot of photos, I make YouTube videos just like this, and I post them on Facebook, I post them on Instagram. And the reason why I do that is because these social media platforms provide feedback for me. And those feedback look like thumbs up, or heart, or smile, or comment. All these are signals for me on how I can do better, or if I'm already doing something, if I'm doing a good job at it already. And so when I get these signals, it reinforces me to continue it. Makes me want to do better. So if a lot of people are starting to engage with your social media posts, starting to give you a lot of good feedback or even critical feedback on how you can improve, those are signals that you're getting attention. Attention where you have the opportunity to grow. All right, so this brings me to the final tip, number 5, knowing your worth. As a community organizer, you always feel like you're the person who connects people to other people or to other resources. But to the general public's eye, you're the person who makes things happen. They don't care what you do or how you do it. If you're able to bring people out, do something, achieve something, make it look like the space is busy and it's popping, right? They'll think that you can make anything happen and they'll recognize you for your work. For example, I'm doing grocery deliveries, right? And people don't really know how I run it. As long as they see that a lot of people are getting groceries, a lot of people are coming out to support, they'll know, Henry, he's the guy who can make things happen. So that's what you want to give as an impression to everyone. So take this as a tip, right? If people want to donate money, they want to know if it's being spent wisely and if it's making something happen. So put yourself in their shoes. Would you want to invest in yourself? Would you want to make a donation in the work that you do? And if the answer is no, you have a lot of room to grow. You can still make adjustments here and there on the other 4 points that I covered. If you rewind in this video, right? Make adjustments here and there so that when you come back to point number 5 and your answer is yes, I want to donate $100 to myself, then you know you're doing a good job. So it's all about knowing what you're worth. If you feel like the work that you do makes a difference, that's all that matters. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something new about me. Let me know what you think about community organizing work. I think it's a great career to go. It's a great skill set to have in general and make a difference in your community today. All right, everyone, I'm Henry. Peace.